Few have done so with as much panache or surprise as Jane Fonda, the illustrious figure in the glittering firmament of Hollywood. She went from Oscar-winning thespian to impassioned activist, and of course the reigning monarch over that wild and glimmering view known as the 80s workout scene. Underneath the neon spandex, high kicks and leg warmers was a story rarely told, at least until now. Well, it just escalated to change my life in ways that I just could not have conceived of. But what most people don't realize is that for me they weren't just about the fitness factor, Jane Fonda explained in an interview. That was decades ago. Finally now, at the age of 79, Jane Fonda has come forward to disclose the real truth about those very workout tapes that took the 80s by storm. To most, the making of them would be seen as purely capitalizing on the fitness craze. But that type of telling dilutes the realness of the story, a much more complicated and very personal one. The truth is that they were not just inventive in revitalizing her career, but rather a moment of self-discovery and empowerment. One might indeed have to dip somewhat further back into history to the early 1980s to get a proper handle on what was happening with the tapes. By the time most people had become familiar with her screen work on powerful dramas like Clued and Coming Home, through which she won her first and second Academy Awards respectively, Jane Fonda was, in many respects, hitting the height of her acting prowess. In the process, she was also getting another level of engagement with her public, one more personal and closer to the average woman in America. That's where the exercise tapes came in. Her first exercise video came out in 1982, and was so successful that millions of copies were sold all around the world. It wasn't just an exercise routine, it was a movement. But the success wasn't down to simply getting a good sweat on with these tapes. For Jane, this was fulfillment, breaking out of the mold for what a woman in her 40s could do and making the idea of being fit accessible to every person, no matter what age or financial capability. I was in my mid-40s then, and at that time, it was a period in a female's life where they just weren't supposed to be vibrant and active. I wanted to fight against that. I wanted to show that we can be vigorous, we can be healthy, and we can take control of our bodies no matter what our age. For what most did not know at the time, the making of these tapes was much more important for the making of Jane herself. These were her answers to the growing pressures and dilemmas closing in on her, the key to her identity, and a way to proceed further than the glitter of Hollywood. Now 79, Jane shares what moved her to make those tapes, the fights that ensued, and the legacy she hopes to leave. What is the real story behind all of those beads of sweat, those grins, and those sequined leadards? Here is the untold truth of how workout tapes came to mean adulation, strength, resiliency, and reinvention for Jane Fonda. Early life and career, the ascent of Jane Fonda into Hollywood stardom. Born on December 21, 1937, in New York City, Jane Fonda was, quite literally, a star on the rise in the last of which represented some of the iconic celebrities who constructed old Hollywood. She was the daughter of Henry Fonda, the movie legend, and Frances Ford Seymour. Therefore, she was raised from an early age in the heady atmosphere of entertainment glamour. But life had its share of personal problems for her early in life, one of which was her mother's death after being involved in a car crash when Jane was only 12. It was tragedies like that, with stories painted in colors only sorrow, incredible sorrow, could conjure, that led her into a rebellion of resilience and determination to make something of herself far away from the legacy that her father had left in the world of film. However much she fought the notion, her fate drew her toward acting, just like her father did. She had been employed in several other stakes of interest, first in art and modeling before finally sticking to learning acting. Learning her craft at Actors Studio in New York City, Jane joined the class of Lee Strasberg, the legendary founder of the method acting technique. It was from these vital years that Jane was therefore able to become a serious and diligent actress. Fonda made her film debut in the 1960 romantic comedy Tall Story, co-starring the irritating Anthony Perkins. Directed by the meddlesome Joshua Logan, the movie was, at best, a minor hit and hardly the vehicle one would expect to launch Fonda's film career. Despite her initial performance being somewhat promising, she was destined to be better cast and better showcased soon. It was in the early 1960s that Jane Fonda appeared in a line of films that displayed her talent as a versatile actress. However, one of her first successes was when she starred in the 1962 drama by George Cukor, The Chapman Report, a movie about the sexual lives of women, considered controversial during the years in which it was released. Fonda acted well and foreshadowed that she was not afraid of hard roles. Her roles in the mid-1960s truly propelled Jane Fonda to superstardom within Hollywood. In 1965 came Cat Ballo, a comic western that hit big at the box office. As a schoolteacher turned outlaw, Fonda was deftly humorous while at once vulnerable. As proved by this box office success, she demonstrated that she was now a star in her own right and could handle any genre, from drama to comedy. The same year, she starred in the thriller The Chase 1966, alongside Marlon Brando and Robert Redford, directed by Arthur Penn. With these films, Fonda established herself as one of the biggest dramatic actresses of her day, able to handle intricate storylines around social justice and corruption in a small southern town. Her performance received glowing reviews, establishing her as one of the best up-and-coming actresses of her time. Jane Fonda starred as Corey Bratter in the 1967 romantic comedy Barefoot in the Park, based on a play by Neil Simon, co-starring the dashing Robert Redford. Fonda shined in her portrayal of Corey, the free-spirited newlywed working through the kinks of marriage. The film was a commercial success, and is remembered as one of Fonda's most beloved performances, cherished by audiences across generations. As the 1960s progressed, Fonda continued to take on cutting-edge roles that pressed her craft to new limits. She appeared in the 1968 cult science fiction classic Barbarella, directed by her then-husband Roger Vadim. It was groundbreaking for its futuristic visuals, and it became an iconic piece of pop culture, even if reviews were mixed at the time. As a space-traveling heroine, Jane Fonda proved she was not afraid of taking on militant or unorthodox roles. It was not until the 1970s that Jane Fonda truly came into her own. In 1971, she appeared in Clute, a psychological thriller directed by Alan J. Pakula. Fonda played Bree Daniels, a call girl entangled in a murder investigation. Her portrayal brought texture and depth to the character, showing the human complexity beyond external conditions. This role earned her first Academy Award for Best Actress, and marked her as a serious and talented actress capable of delivering formidable performances. After Clute, she continued to take on hard-hitting roles that dealt with social and politically challenging subjects. In 1977, she starred in Julia, a drama about the friendship between writer Lillian Hellman and an anti-Nazi activist. In 1978, she appeared in the even bigger success Coming Home, a film about the Vietnam War that explored the emotional toll of the conflict on soldiers and their families. Her role as Sally Hyde, the wife of a Marine officer and the lover of a paraplegic veteran, earned her a second Academy Award for Best Actress. This film further cemented her status as one of Hollywood's finest actresses, known for her emotional depth and sensitivity. By the end of the 1970s, Jane Fonda had established a reputation as one of Hollywood's top leading actresses, known for her versatility and willingness to take on complex characters and genres. The daughter of a famous actor, she had broken out on her own, proving her mettle in an industry dominated and leaving an indelible mark on the film industry. Activism and private life: how Jane Fonda moved from being a Hollywood starlet to a political firebrand. In the 1960s and 70s, Jane Fonda emerged as one of the top actresses in Hollywood, but evolved into one of the most vocal and controversial political activists of that era. Her journey to activism was driven by both personal and societal shifts that transformed her from a glamour girl into a voice of conscience for social change. This period in her life was marked by personal battles, which heavily influenced her decisions and recast her public image. Jane Fonda's activism was not something that happened overnight, but was a gradual process of awakening to the social injustices around her. Born into Hollywood royalty as the daughter of legendary actor Henry Fonda, Jane followed a conventional route early in life. Her string of successes made her one of the most sought-after actresses of the 1960s. But despite the glamorous life she led, a growing dissatisfaction and consciousness of a world beyond Hollywood began to take hold. The 1960s were years of great social and political upheaval in the United States, including the civil rights movement, the women's liberation movement, and widespread opposition to the Vietnam War. As Jane became increasingly aware of these issues, she began to feel a responsibility to engage. Shortly after her marriage to French film director Roger Vadim in the early 1960s, she entered intellectual and political circles that spurred her interest in activism. Opposition to the Vietnam War became one of the defining aspects of Jane Fonda's activism. By the late 1960s, the war had become one of the most divisive issues in America, with widespread protests and a growing anti-war movement. Jane, who had previously been apolitical, began to openly oppose the war, especially after meeting with the Vietnam veterans against the war and listening to their harrowing stories. In 1972, she made a highly controversial trip to North Vietnam, where she was photographed sitting on an anti-aircraft gun used to shoot down American planes. The photo circulated throughout the United States, earning her the nickname Hanoi Jane, and inflaming many Americans, particularly veterans and military families. It was one of the most controversial moments of her life and cast a long shadow over her career. Jane later expressed deep regret about the photo, acknowledging that it had been a serious mistake and apologizing to those she had offended. Still, she maintained her anti-war stance, continuing to speak out against U.S. involvement in Vietnam and advocating for peace. In addition to her anti-war activism, Jane Fonda became a vocal participant in the women's liberation movement. She began to see how her personal struggles were intertwined with larger issues facing women, including gender inequality and reproductive freedom. This led her to become an outspoken advocate for women's rights, using her platform to raise awareness about issues such as equal pay, job discrimination, and access to health care. Jane's personal battles, particularly with body image, self-esteem, and relationships, also contributed to her activism. She has openly shared her struggles with bulimia and the pressure to conform to Hollywood's beauty standards. These experiences heightened her awareness of the societal pressures faced by women and fueled her desire to challenge the norms that oppressed and marginalized them. Jane Fonda's activism was closely intertwined with her personal life. Her marriages to Roger Vadim, activist Tom Hayden, and media mogul Ted Turner each provided new stages for her evolving views and deepening commitment to social justice. Her marriage to Tom Hayden, in particular, was marked by their shared involvement in various social justice campaigns, from anti-war efforts to civil rights activism. By the 1970s, Jane's acting, activism, and motherhood often came into conflict. The pressures of public expectations and her internal struggles with self-worth and identity made this period especially difficult for her. Yet, it was during this time that Jane found her voice as an activist and began using her own experiences to relate to and inspire others. The birth of the exercise videos, the idea. Jane Fonda was at a real crossroads in both her life and career in the early 1980s. She had already achieved incredible success in acting, having won 2 Academy Awards, and was considered one of the most talented and versatile stars in Hollywood. But she was searching for something more. She wanted a platform that would allow her to reach a mass audience and leave a lasting impact. Apart from her Hollywood stardom, that search led her to create the now iconic workout tapes. The idea for the workout tapes didn't come out of thin air. It was born from several personal and cultural factors. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, the fitness industry was booming. Aerobics, in particular, was gaining popularity as people became more health-conscious and sought new ways to stay fit. At the same time, advances in video technology made it possible for people to work out at home. The convergence of fitness trends and changing technology created the perfect environment for what would become Jane Fonda's groundbreaking fitness empire. Jane's journey into the world of fitness began at a very personal level. At the time, she was dealing with a host of issues, including struggles with self-esteem and body image. Though she was known for her beauty and talent, the pressure to maintain a certain standard in Hollywood weighed heavily on her. Additionally, she was grappling with the realities of aging in an industry that prized youth above all else. These experiences prompted her to take control of her health and well-being, leading her to discover the power of fitness as a tool for empowerment. Jane had long been a proponent of physical exercise, having danced ballet for years to stay in shape for her demanding acting roles. However, as she entered her 40s, she found that her usual exercise routine was no longer enough to keep her body feeling strong and vital. That's when she discovered aerobics. The dynamic, high-energy workout offered the physical benefits she needed while also providing a sense of joy and vitality. Realizing the potential of aerobics to change lives, Jane saw an opportunity to share her newfound passion with others. She was particularly motivated to make fitness accessible to women who were juggling demanding careers, family responsibilities, and societal expectations. Many women didn't have the time or means to go to a gym, but a home workout tape would give them the flexibility to exercise whenever and wherever they wanted. Jane's decision to enter the fitness business was more than just a business venture, it was an act of defiance. In a society that often relegated women over 40 to the fringes, Jane wanted to prove that women could remain vibrant, strong, and healthy at any age. She set out to show the world that aging didn't have to mean decline, and that women could continue to live full, active lives well into their later years. Her workout tapes also reflected her desire to bring about social change. Just as she had used her acting career to challenge traditional notions of femininity on screen, she wanted to use fitness to challenge societal expectations of women. If she could elevate the status of women in Hollywood by portraying strong, empowered female characters, she could do the same for everyday women through her exercise routines. Jane's workouts were designed to be inclusive, accessible to people of all ages, fitness levels, and financial means. In essence, she was democratizing fitness, making it available to everyone. First workout tape, 1982. In 1982, Jane Fonda surprised the world by releasing her first workout tape, Jane Fonda's Workout. The concept of a Hollywood actress entering the fitness industry was unprecedented at the time. Already a household name, known for her roles in films such as Clute and Coming Home, Jane's move into the fitness world caught many by surprise. But for Jane, it was a natural progression. She had found a way to combine her passion for fitness with her desire to make a positive impact on people's lives. The timing of the tape's release was perfect. The home video industry was just beginning to take off in the early 1980s, with video cassette recorders, VCRs, becoming more common in households. People were eager to find ways to use their new VCRs, and Jane's workout tape provided a convenient, at-home exercise option for those who couldn't make it to the gym. The availability of the tape made fitness more accessible to the average person, and it quickly became a huge success. Within weeks of its release, Jane Fonda's Workout became a worldwide sensation. In just a few months, the tape had sold millions of copies, setting a new standard for fitness videos. The workout itself was easy to follow, and Jane's warm, encouraging demeanor made exercising feel like a shared experience. Her routines were fun, energizing, and approachable, making it possible for people of all fitness levels to participate. The public response to the tape was overwhelmingly positive. Both critics and consumers praised its effectiveness and the way it made working out enjoyable. Women across the country were working out with Jane, fitting exercise into their daily routines without disrupting their lives. For many, the goal wasn't just to lose weight or build muscle, but to feel good and regain a sense of control over their health. Jane's motivational style and down-to-earth approach fostered a sense of community among the women who followed along at home. The tape's historic success and cultural phenomenon. The success of Jane Fonda's Workout was monumental. It wasn't just the best-selling workout tape of its time, it was the catalyst for an entirely new era of fitness culture. Before Jane's tapes, exercise was often seen as either a chore or an activity reserved for athletes. But Jane made fitness accessible, enjoyable, and, most importantly, achievable for the average person. Her workout tapes became a cultural phenomenon that transcended the fitness world. Images of Jane in her leathered, leg warmers, and headband became iconic symbols of 1980s pop culture. The tapes weren't just a passing fad, they were part of a movement that empowered people, especially women, to take control of their health and fitness. Jane's tapes also revolutionized the fitness industry. Her success inspired countless celebrities and fitness experts to create their own workout videos, and her approach to fitness, focusing on accessibility and inclusivity, became the new standard. Jane's routines catered to people of all fitness levels, with modifications for individual needs, democratizing fitness in a way that had never been done before. Beneath the tape, Jane Fonda's workout tapes were much more than a business venture or an attempt to capitalize on the fitness craze. They were deeply personal, born out of Jane's own struggles and challenges. In the early 1980s, she was dealing with a range of personal issues, including feelings of insecurity and the pressure to maintain her image in an industry that valued youth and beauty above all else. As Jane entered her 40s, she began to feel the weight of societal expectations. In Hollywood and society at large, women were often expected to fade into the background as they aged, but Jane refused to accept this fate. Instead, she saw her 40s as a time of reinvention, an opportunity to redefine herself and take control of her life. The workout tapes became a means for Jane to reclaim her identity and regain control over her body and life. Through fitness, she found a sense of strength and resilience that went beyond the physical. Exercising wasn't just about staying in shape, it was about discovering her own power and inspiring others to do the same. For Jane, the tapes were more than just workout routines, they were a declaration of self-discovery and empowerment. Perhaps the most significant contribution of Jane Fonda's workout tapes was their role in redefining what it meant to age, particularly for women. In a society that often marginalized women over 40, Jane's tapes sent a powerful message: aging didn't have to mean decline. Women could continue to be vibrant, strong, and full of energy at any age. Her tapes challenged the traditional narrative that equated aging with invisibility. By using herself, a woman in her 40s, as the face of her workouts, Jane was sending a strong message: you don't have to be young to be fit and active. She wanted women to know that they could achieve their best selves at any stage of life. This redefinition of aging was radical for the early 1980s, and it empowered countless women to rethink what was possible for them as they grew older. Jane's tapes helped women reject the stereotypes imposed on them and embrace a new vision of aging, one that was full of strength, vitality, and possibility. Beneath the physical workouts in Jane Fonda's tapes lay the undercurrents of feminism that spoke to the broader social and cultural shifts of the time. The tapes were more than just a fitness routine, they were a call to women to take control of their bodies, their health, and their lives. Jane's workouts became a tool for empowerment at a time when women were still fighting for equality in many areas of life. For Jane, exercise was a political act. Working out became a way for women to resist a culture that often minimized or regulated their bodies. Her approach to fitness was inclusive and non-judgmental, focusing on health and well-being rather than achieving a certain ideal body type. In many ways, her workout tapes aligned with the larger feminist movement, which was increasingly concerned with issues of bodily autonomy and self-care. The broader social and cultural impact of Jane's workout videos in the 1980s cannot be overstated. They arrived at a time when the feminist movement was gaining momentum, and they provided a practical way for women to live out feminist ideals in their everyday lives. By turning fitness into a tool of empowerment, Jane's tapes contributed to the ongoing conversation about women's rights and self-determination. They encouraged women to break free from passive roles and embrace their strength and power. In short, Jane Fonda's workout tapes were much more than just a fitness craze. They were a personal and cultural statement that addressed her own struggles while empowering women across the globe to take control of their health, bodies, and lives. The tapes changed the fitness industry and left an indelible mark on society. Jane's reflections at 79. At 79, looking back on her workout tape legacy, Jane Fonda feels a deep sense of pride and fulfillment. What began as a personal project to stay active and redefine her life trajectory turned into a cultural milestone that went far beyond fitness. For Jane, the tapes were never just about body sculpting, they were about mindset shaping, particularly for women who had long been told by society what they could or couldn't do as they aged. Jane reflects on her workout tapes as having made a significant impact on fitness and social change. While the tapes were groundbreaking in their ability to deliver effective exercise routines to millions of people, their true legacy lies in the message of empowerment they conveyed. The tapes encouraged women to take back control of their health and well-being, challenging the norms that dictated how women should look, act, or feel, especially during the 1980s when women were fighting for autonomy and equality in various areas of life. As she looks back, Jane hopes that her tapes will be remembered not just as part of a fitness trend, but as something that symbolized resilience, strength, and self-care. She wants people to remember the tapes as tools that women use to assert their power and reclaim their lives. The tapes showed that it's never too late to start fresh, push boundaries, and embrace one's potential. As she reflects on her legacy, Jane also hopes that her tapes will continue to inspire future generations to keep pushing boundaries. She envisions her legacy as one that will encourage others to pursue their goals, knowing that personal empowerment is timeless and can be achieved at any stage of life. Jane Fonda's workout tapes are a cultural landmark, representing far more than just a 1980s aerobic craze. Through her tapes, Jane empowered millions of women to take control of their health and well-being. Her tapes sparked a movement that challenged societal norms about aging, body image, and the role of women. What began as a personal response to her own challenges became a larger movement toward empowerment, resilience, and self-care. Now, as Jane looks back at her legacy at 79, she sees her tapes as a testament to the power of determination and the ability to create positive change. Her tapes weren't just about physical exercise, they were about challenging the status quo and empowering women to take control of their lives. They remain a reminder that strength and vitality aren't just the preserve of youth, they can be embraced at any age.